A lot of people advise against, starting a company with your significant other, your family, and
My
everything,
father,
right?
my significant other.
Right. So, how do you feel about that? Do you think it's good advice to start with your father, or if you had another option, would you have done something different?
That's a good question.
You don't have to shit on your dad, though.
No, my dad is awesome. When you look at like startups in Dubai, okay, Dubai now has this like thriving startup scene, whatever. Like there are more startups coming up over here, but oftentimes when you look under the covers, these are startups that were founded somewhere else and moved to Dubai from Egypt or Lebanon or some other place, or they're launched by 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds who live in Marina or JBR or JLT or whatever. On that side of town, in real Dubai, in old Dubai, Bar Dubai, Karama, Guhaesh, Dera, whatever, nobody goes to school and thinks, okay, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna go to college, graduate, I'm gonna launch a startup. No, it's just not done. The mentality is you go to school, you go to college, you get a job, you work till you're 60, then you retire. That's the mentality. That's what we're taught, literally. So we launched this company from our apartment in Al Nada. I was 21. Recruited a bunch of people, whatever. Scale Lock&Stock was becoming the largest student lifestyle platform in the UAE. Pivoted that to secure my scholarship because the secure my the arm of Lock&Stock that was making the most money. We said, okay, fine, let's take this and build that out. So we pivoted Lock&Stock and secure my scholarship. We built that out. We've raised over $1 million in capital today. We're worth 25 million dirhams. And that's been our journey over the last 6 years.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dollar Diaries. Today, we have an amazing guest who's Craig Fernandes. He's the ex co founder of Lock&Stock and the current co founder of SecureMyScholarship.com. How are you, Craig?
Very good, very good. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Craig, tell us a little bit about yourself. How would you describe yourself? Everybody can go to your LinkedIn and see who you are, but how would you describe yourself?
My name's Craig. I'm a co-founder, CEO at Secure My Scholarship, and I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I believe in solving problems. I love creating products that have an impact on the world around me. I'm a workaholic. Ask anyone who knows me. I work 100 hours a week. And that's really me in a nutshell. I work, I build, and I love creating impact.
So you said you're an entrepreneur at heart. When did you discover that? And maybe what was your very first project, which was not commercial, but you just started off and you knew that this is what I wanted to do?
I've always been an entrepreneur, I think. I launched my first company when I was 14 years old. I used to bunk school. I studied here in Dubai, and I used to bunk school with some friends of mine, and we'd go around Dubai pitching football tournaments to people and get them to play in our football tournaments. We'd make about 10,000 dirhams revenue per tournament, 4,000 dirhams profit. And that's what we used to do. That was when I was 14. I launched my second company when I was 17. Third company when I was 18, Lock&Stock when I was 21, Secure My Scholarship when I was 25. So I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I love looking for problems and then finding solutions to those problems.
We just want to get into Lock&Stock immediately. This is an app I personally used. Gazala, I'm guessing you
Yeah.
also used, right? Like such a unique concept when we were like 18 years old. Like, you lock your phone and you get points for
Yeah,
it.
it was the best, honestly. I remember Lock&Stock was a huge hit here in Dubai. We launched the app in September of 2017 with 0 students and 12 partner brands. Within a year and a half. So for those who don't know, Lock&Stock was a mobile application that you could use when you were in class, and you had to lock your phone when you were in class. You paid attention, and as long as you were offline while you were in class, you were earning rewards. And you could use those rewards for offers and discounts at our partner brands. When we launched in September of 2017, we had 0 students and 12 partner brands. Within a year and a half, we had 30,000 students and 500 partner brands. At its peak in about 2020, we had 80,000 students on the platform and 1,200 partner brands, including some of the biggest brands here in the UAE. I'm talking Vox, Novo, Rio, Starbucks, Costa, Forever 21, etc., etc., etc. Some of the biggest brands here in the UAE we had on the platform. It was super popular. Lock&Stock is not around today, but I still meet people on the metro or in the mall or whatever who will walk up to me and be like, Like I'll wear a Lock and Stock shirt every once in a while, and people will walk up to me and go like, "Oh my god, like Lock and Stock! Like I used to use that app when I was in school or uni." It was super popular back in the day.
How did it financially make sense that you're giving free rewards to people just for locking their phone, right? Because typically we see advertising platforms, right, or any social media platform, the more you look at their ads, the more they get to charge partners and advertisers. But yours was a little opposite, where you it was incentivizing us to lock our phones during classes. So how did it financially make sense?
Student onboarding was free. I mean, we didn't pay anything to students. And brands sponsor the offers and discounts themselves. So that was on the brand's part. And what we did was we built an ecosystem that just connected the two of them. And then we made money through other means, upselling brand promotions or targeted social posts, emails, that type of stuff.
The interesting part that you said is that when you started off, you had 0 students but 12 partner brands.
Yeah.
How did you manage to sell a product that did not have users, but you managed to get 12 partners? Because, of course, they were looking for something that would be more commercial.
It's kind
How
of like
did
the,
that
what
go
do you say,
about?
the chicken and egg problem. What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
I mean, we had to start somewhere, right? So we got a bunch of partners on the platform. And with that, we got our first bunch of students. With the students, we then got more partners. And then it created like a circular effect where the more brands we got, the more students came on board. The more students that came on board, the more brands we got. And that circular flywheel was then created. But I think the first thing was the brands, because nobody would have downloaded the application if they couldn't use it anywhere. And I think, so from our 12 original brands, I think 2 really stood out. We had Novo Cinemas and we had Charlie's Philly Steaks. And these 2 really stood out. I think they got us our first chunk of students. And once those came on board, we got a bunch of more brands, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We hit an inflection point, I think, 1 month into Lock and Stock when Philly signed up. And Philly is extremely popular with students in Dubai.
Yeah.
And they had branches, they had a branch in Academic City as well. So a lot of students in Academic City then signed up because Philly had like a buy one, get one offer through Lock and Stock. And that really changed the game for us in terms of flywheel growth, per se. But otherwise, like, I think what I learned with Lock and Stock is if you're building products for students, marketing is incredibly effective because if you can get a student excited about your product, the beautiful thing with universities and schools is that you pack all these kids together in a classroom or an auditorium or whatever. And if you can get 1 student or 2 students excited about your product, they will go and tell all their friends. And that's how word of mouth really builds. It won't be on an exponential scale. It won't take you to like billions of users, whatever. But on an individual campus, you'll get every single student on that campus. If you can get a few of them excited and basically make them evangelizers of your brand, it will scale within that institution at least.
I think that's how
Yeah.
we came across it, right? Like they were like, one person told me to download it.
It was like a beehive.
Yeah, it was like everybody has it. Like, okay, every time we went for a movie, you have Lock and Stock, you have Lock and Stock. Let's get offers there. Let's get offers there. And that I think has like a very profound impact on how successful the product is, right?
Yeah, I think what we also did was we ran this really successful thing called the Student Brand Manager Program, which at its peak had, I think, 67 student brand managers at about 50 campuses, schools, and universities across the UAE. Honestly, and I will say this with full confidence, at its peak, Lock and Stock was the largest student lifestyle platform in the country, bar none. And we did that bootstrap from our apartments in Guhaesh, Bardabai, and Karama. Literally, that's what we built.
So walk us through the financial aspects of it, the lock and stock process. Like when you started out, I'm sure you invested something. Was it out of your pocket? Did you raise it? What was the first month like?
Yeah, so that's actually why. So, with us, with Lock and Stock, it was a very interesting scenario. My co-founder with Lock and Stock was my dad.
Yeah.
Because to launch anything, you'll see a lot of stuff on LinkedIn or blogs about how you can, it's never been a better time to launch a startup. You can do this for free. You got LinkedIn, you got this, you got LinkedIn, you got YouTube, you got this, whatever. It's all hype, honestly. You need some cash when you launch any venture, a traditional business, a startup, whatever. What I actually did was I projected out cash flow for 18 months and assumed no income for 18 months and raised that amount as our capital investment per se. Now, I got the idea for Lock and Stock when I was in university. It was my final semester of university. It was like February 2017. We launched in September, but I got the idea in February. I graduated in May, and we launched in September. And I'm February 2017. It's my final semester of university. I'm like 20 years old. I need about 200,000 dirhams to launch this application. Where am I going to get that from? The only person I knew who would take a bet on me was my dad. So I spoke to him and I pitched him the idea, pitched him the concept, pitched him, this is what we're going to do. We don't really come from a very wealthy means or anything. But I think, there's a saying that I like. It goes, blessed are those who believe yet cannot see. And I think he just saw something. So he wrote us the check and he became our co-founder. And that's how we started. First month, but with that story in mind, that's why finances for us was not really that big of a concern because I basically projected out no income for 18 months. So for us, when we launched September 23rd, 2017, it was all about growth. Literally, that's all we cared about. How can we make sure that we have as many brands as possible? How can we make sure that we have as many students as possible? And how can we make this as big as can be?
So you spent quite a bit of time in Iowa during your bachelor's, but you did your schooling in Dubai. What was the shift like when you moved to Iowa, and how did you find the entrepreneur ecosystem over there in Iowa, especially considering in 2016 you've done 2 startups back to back, right? Not back to back, parallel, right?
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Iowa was amazing, man. Honestly, when I went to Iowa, I had no expectations. I wanted to study in America. That was my only objective. So I applied to a bunch of universities across the US. I applied to 11 universities. I got into 8. And I picked Iowa because they gave me the best scholarships to attend. And that was that, but I went to Iowa with no expectations. It's a small college town in the middle of America, literally. It's not on the coast. It's not in California, not in New York, none of that stuff. It's Midwest America. I come from Bombay. I grew up in Dubai. Those are 2 big cities. Bombay is huge and Dubai is pretty big. Iowa City had 70,000 people. So it was very, very different. But it was awesome. It was something that I had never seen before. I'm talking a town of 70,000 people where 40,000 of them are students. So there's so much of energy and so much of life and everybody's got ideas and everybody wants to do something. It was amazing, literally. I launched 2 companies when I was at Iowa. The first one was a company called Store to Your Door, which is kind of like InstaShop. Before InstaShop, there was no InstaShop back then. It never really got off the ground, unfortunately. I wish it did because InstaShop is now a $10 billion company. So I wish it did, but it was something that we were playing around with and we came close to launching. We raised a couple $1,000 as well to get us off the ground. But so yeah, man, no, the first company was a company called Store to Your Door, which would deliver groceries from Walmart to students' houses. It never really got off the ground. I wish it did because, as we can see, grocery delivery startups are $1 billion startups today. So I wish it did. But that was one. And the second company was a company called Football on Wheels. Yeah. It combined my 2 loves, sports and traveling. What we would do was we'd bus students to away football games, put them up for a night, let them stay over there, let them watch the game, and then bring them back, literally. That did all right. We'd make about $2,000 per game. So it was okay. It was fine, some cash on the side. But in terms of launching a company at Iowa, it was amazing. The university provided a lot of support. There were a lot of students. Co-founders were super plentiful. And I knew a lot of smart kids. Honestly, guys who were a lot smarter than me as well. So it was great at Iowa.
Did any of these partnerships, then become friendships, and are you still in touch with them right now?
Well, so they were friendships before they were partnerships. I actually have a rule. I almost tend to only work with people that I know. It's because, so I've been doing this a long time, right? I launched my first company when I was 14 years old. And through all of these, I guess, companies or ventures or whatever you want to call it, intelligence matters less than heart, I think. And when you know someone and when you know what they're about, literally, that makes all the difference. Because I'll tell you, man, when you launch a new company, be it, I'll give you Lock&Stock as an example. I'll give you Secure My Scholarship. Take either of them. When you launch something new, it's awesome. In the first 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it's great. It's super exciting. Things are happening. Everyone's talking about it. Yada yada. All of that stuff. After 3 months, it begins to get shit. It's super difficult. I'm not saying it's not fun anymore. I love what we do. but it begins to get super fucking difficult. And when that happens, if you don't have the heart or the willpower to go the distance, because we're not running a sprint, we're running a marathon. You don't have the heart or the willpower to go the distance, it's not going to work. Someone's going to drop off, someone will quit, they'll get a job. For many people, I mean, when we launched Lock and Stock, we didn't really have that much cash in the company. So we were paying ourselves like 1,000 dirhams a month or 2,000 dirhams a month. And for most people out there, it's very hard to work 100 hours a week and make 1,000 dirhams a month. You have to really believe in what you're doing. And that's why, like, I actually tend to be very selective about the people that I work with, at least found companies with. I tend to, like, they tend to be people that I know or my friends or whatever. Of course, they have to be smart and talented as well. But I need to know the person, literally, because some random guy on the street, okay, fine. Like, if the company doesn't blow up in 6 months and his shares are not worth $5 million in 6 months, is he going to quit? I don't know what's going to happen to the startup. But yeah, that's why, like, I think the question that you asked is, did those partnerships become friendships? They were friendships first, and then they became partnerships.
A lot of people advise against starting a company with your significant other, your family, and
My
everything.
father.
Right. That
Must
is
be another.
right. So, how do you feel about that? Do you think it's good advice to start with your father, or if you had another option, would you have done something different?
That's a good question.
You don't have to shit on your dad, though.
No, my dad is awesome. I've always said that, like, in the story of like Lock and Stock, Secure My Scholarship. So I'll answer this question in two parts, right? We launched Lock and Stock in September of 2017 from our apartment in Al Nada, Dubai, literally. When you look at startups, did you grow up in Dubai? Did you guys grow up in
Yeah.
Dubai? Where'd you all go to school?
I went to JSS and Aaron.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you?
NIMS,
Sorry?
New Indian Model School.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. When you look at like startups in Dubai, okay, Dubai now has this like thriving startup scene, whatever. Like there are more startups coming up over here, but oftentimes when you look under the covers, these are startups that were founded somewhere else and moved to Dubai from Egypt or Lebanon or some other place, or they're launched by 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds who live in Marina or JBR or JLT or whatever. On that side of town, in real Dubai, in old Dubai, Bar Dubai, Karama, Guhaesh, there or whatever, nobody goes to school and thinks, okay, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to go to college, graduate, I'm going to launch a startup. No, it's just not done. The mentality is you go to school, you go to college, you get a job, you work till you're 60, then you retire. That's the mentality. That's what we're taught, literally. So we launched this company from our apartment in Al Nada. I was 21. Recruited a bunch of people, whatever, scale Lock and Stock was becoming the largest student lifestyle platform in the UAE. Pivoted that to Secure My Scholarship because the Secure My the arm of Lock and Stock that was making the most money. We said, okay, fine, like, let's take this and build that out. So we pivoted Lock and Stock into Secure My Scholarship. We built that out. We've raised over $1 million in capital today. We're worth 25 million dirhams. And that's been our journey over the last 6 years. But in this journey, you could have found another, you could have found another CMO, you could have found another CTO, you could have found another Craig Fernandes also in this journey. But the one person in this entire journey that is irreplaceable and without whom this journey would not have been possible without is my dad. Because he took a chance on us when we had nothing, literally. And he wrote that check and he said, listen, let's do this. He's the one irreplaceable person in this story. And that's why, like, if I had a do-over, I wouldn't change a single thing. How's it like working with my dad? And the thing is, like, when you work with family or a significant other or whatever, all you have to do is set, like, clear ground rules. Like, okay, fine, like, who's calling the shots, who's taking decisions, all of that stuff. And if you have those ground rules in place, yeah, it'll be okay. I mean, we've had our differences for sure, but I have differences with everybody that I work with, not just my dad. It's irrespective of him being my dad or not. I have differences with everybody that I work with. That's what happens when you work with smart people. When you work with smart people, everybody's got ideas about different things. So that's okay. But as long as you have clear ground rules, it's fine.
So I'm going to come back to your part where you mentioned those 3 months after launching were not that easy. So, I think when it comes to having a job, it's that you have that kind of security that at the end of the day, you're going to get paid. And then you just get stuck into that mindset of now I cannot, go back to zero or start with nothing because you cannot just lose that cushion. So, when you were 21, did you go through that phase where now I have to get a job and I have to support my family? What was that phase like? And did you ever think about getting a job?
Uh, no, I did not. I am very bad at following rules, following instructions, taking orders from people. I just can't fucking do it. I never thought about getting a job, man. Honestly, I got the idea for Lock and Stock when I was still in college, and my entire final semester it engulfed me. It's all I could think about. I graduated in May, came back in June, incorporated in June, and we launched in September, and that's that. In terms of security, in terms of yeah, like I don't know, yeah, security or like earning like that safety net, having like a bunch of savings. I mean, that's nice, but I come from nothing, right? So I grew up in the UAE, yes, but I spent the first 13 years of my life in a tiny apartment in Sharjah. We lived in a small apartment that cost 7,000 dirhams a year in rent. So I come from nothing, honestly. And as much as I like these toys or whatever, I really don't need them, honestly. I'm okay to live on 1,000 or 2,000 dirhams a month. That's fine for me. And if I have to slum it, I'll slum it, no problem. As long as I'm doing something that I love. Like that's it. I will work 100 hours a week, and I have worked 100 hours a week. No vacations, no weekends, 16-hour days every single day for the last 6 years. Making maybe a third or a quarter of what my friends are making, but I absolutely love what I do, and I'm okay doing that.
And do you expect the same of your colleagues as well, like working 16 hours a
Well, I mean, if you work at now Secure My Scholarship, before that Lock and Stock, yes, and that's made very clear to you when you interview. I mean, okay, fine, it depends on what level you are in the company, but if you're like C level, exec level, you got shares. We are here to execute. And that's made very clear to you when we interview. Like, listen, like over here, okay, fine. It's work from home. You set your own hours, you set your own schedule, whatever. But if you have to get something done, get it done. Like that's it, get it done. And that's how you win, literally. If you do that every day, every week, every month, every year for a long period of time, that's how you win in the long run. And that's how we do it. I think I read a stat month ago, I think, which said that I think only 4% of startups actually raise outside capital, yada yada. 90% of startups die in their first year, all of that stuff. We've raised over $1 million in capital, and we still operate out of my apartment in Al Nada, Dubai, which I think speaks for itself.